Going for a fourth consecutive bowl victory. How many schools can claim that? MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. We are breaking down the schedules. I love this process, this project that I have each and every off season. I rank the schedules in the Power 5 from 70 all the way up to number 1. I make a few people mad because I rip on their schedules and their team schedules for being too soft. Of course, you can't factor in, you cannot control the conference schedule, but the out-of-conference schedules are ridiculous. And, of course, I have outlined my scheduling system. And if you have any questions about that, we can certainly cut the video again explaining my scheduling process and system. Takes the control out of the hands of the particular teams. They should not be controlling their own schedules. This doesn't happen in professional sports. Why should it happen in collegiate sports? The Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers are not running out scheduling games against the rest of the NFL. Stupid. All right. This is the 56th ranked schedule in the nation. It's number 9 in the ACC. It belongs to Wake Forest. And, of course, we will let you know that you can help support our channel by grabbing the Amazon link in the description section. Do your Amazon shopping with that link, and you help build the channel. Wake Forest is an interesting out-of-conference schedule, and the oddest, strangest, most unique out-of-conference schedule for this one reason. They play a conference team out of conference. And that probably requires some explanation. Yeah, it was determined a few years ago. I think this was about 5 years ago. Wake Forest and North Carolina decided, well, it's an intriguing game. We're having difficulty scheduling interesting out-of-conference games. So most of the time we don't play each other. The rotation only comes up one every 7 years that Wake Forest and North Carolina play. And, of course, they're in the same state, playing the same conference, and only play one out of every 7 years. That's another idiotic portion of the schedule, the way it's set up in all these conferences. So Wake Forest and North Carolina decided to schedule an out-of-conference game. And I think they've done this a few times going forward. And so Wake Forest's non-conference schedule is Utah State, tough game. No Matt Wells at Utah State any longer, but still, Utah State at home for Wake Forest, a team that, despite winning a bowl game last year, went to Tulane last year to open the season and almost lost. They went to overtime. So Wake Forest starts with Utah State August 30th. Then they've got a game at Rice. Then they come back for the non-conference game against North Carolina. Then they've got Elon. In conference play, you've got to ask this question each and every time for everybody excluding the Big 12 because they all play each other. Who do you play in the other division? So Wake Forest, of course, has to play the Atlantic Division, Clemson, Florida State on down. And then they play the 2 games against the 7 other teams in the Coastal Division. So who does Wake Forest play? Well, they've got Virginia Tech and Duke. A fairly light touch, but then again, who's good and who's not good in the Coastal Division? You would assume Miami's going to be pretty decent, and North Carolina probably still pretty awful, and otherwise, it's a muddled mess in the Coastal Division. So Virginia Tech and Duke are the 2 non-division games for Wake Forest in the ACC. September 28th is the ACC opener at Boston College. Open date, Louisville, Florida State, another open date, and then Wake Forest's final run of games is pretty darn difficult. North Carolina State, Virginia Tech on the road, Clemson, of course, Duke, and Syracuse. Wake Forest looking to get back to postseason play. It's not a very difficult schedule. Utah State, a team to be reckoned with out of the Mountain West with 11 wins last year. And again, North Carolina is a non-conference game. Wake Forest needs to go 3-1 in the non-conference games to complete what has been the formula for getting to postseason play this past year at 6-6. It's the 9th most difficult schedule in the ACC. It's number 56 in the nation. It belongs to Wake Forest. And we are also including the records for these particular teams, and I don't have them handy, so look down below. I will include it down below me. The record projection for Wake Forest coming up in 2019 right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football.